Peace and love, family. Welcome to another powerful discussion with your sister, Dr. Maat. Thank you for joining this discussion this evening. I have with me one of my comrades, Baba Amin Ajuko. I hope I didn't butcher the last name, Baba. How are you doing tonight, Baba?
I'm doing great, and it's Ojuok.
Ojuko. Thank you.
Yes.
How you doing though tonight, Baba?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. I can't complain. Just happy to have this discussion. And let me tell you what prompted this discussion. A few days ago, not even a few days ago, almost a week ago, one of my other comrades, Brother Everett, he reached out to me via text and he said, Dr. Maat, you got to see the Netflix. You got to see the Netflix series with Kaepernick. He's going in. And then my cousin, peace to my cousin, Letitia, she's in the building. She hit me up. She's like, you got to watch the Kaepernick series. She said, I'm already on episode 3, and then my aunt, a few days later, she sent me an article. Where's this link? She sent me an article entitled, it was an article that was published by the U.S. Sun called Colin Kaepernick has been branded the lowest of low by outraged viewers after comparing the NFL draft and training camp to slavery in his new Netflix special. And so, I'm starting to hear a lot of stuff. And so it got me curious. I mean, I was going to watch it anyway, but it was like with all of these people reaching out to me and encouraging me to watch it, I said, well, why not? And so that's what I did. I sat and binge watched it yesterday. And, and the series does open up. The series opens up with this clip, and I'm gonna play a little bit of it. I just know how YouTube gets down. Then there'll be Dr. Maat. You can't, we got it's copyrighted material.
Go quiet.
And so this is the clip that they open with in episode 1. Peace to the family that joined us. Peace to you, New Black World Order. Letitia, peace to you, my warrior. Young Ryan Jordan, peace to you. He said the king is in the house.
I say.
Peace to you. That's one of my young warriors. He is in the building. Black African power to you, brother Omar Reed.
I say.
Yes, Black African power to you, King Marquise Bolden. He said, I just finished watching his Netflix special. Let's just say that explains damn near everything. All right. And then Baba Kwame is in the building. Peace to you, Baba Kwame. Peace, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and play this first clip. Family, share the show. Let's get the views up. Share the show, family. Share the show. I see that people are coming in from France. Hotep to you. He said, I am a Chemite, which have 17 years old. I guess he's trying to say I'm 17 years old. And I live in South France. Peace to you, beloved. Yeah, Ashe. Thank you for coming in. Spread the word, family, about today's show. Let's get the views up. All right, let's rock and roll, Baba. Here we go.
All right.
Understand.
All right. So let me get out of here and go back to that. So Baba, of course, you already know that that clip that has been circulating on social media pulled at the heartstrings of Black people, because slavery for us is a very it's a sensitive topic. It's a sad topic because that was an era in our history where our ancestors were literally, beat, raped, mutilated, separated from their loved ones, brainwashed, hung, lynched, raped, all of those atrocities, happen with us. And so we're watching this and it's like it pulls at us. And so Baba, then the article dropped and I did read it, but I'm not going to read it in its entirety. So my aunt sent me this article again entitled Colin Kaepernick has been branded the lowest of low by outraged viewers after comparing the NFL draft and training camp to slavery in his new Netflix special. And so I had a lot of mixed emotions when I read the article. Some points I agreed with some points I didn't. And so that's why I reached out to you that evening,
Right.
and I said, Baba, I mean, look, I just read this article. I saw the clip. Kaepernick is comparing the NFL to, NFL draft to slavery. What are your thoughts on that, Bob? And we had a beautiful build on the phone. And I said, Baba, can we go public, and just have a public discussion about this,
Right.
just to share our thoughts? And you said, cool, let's do it. So, Baba, I asked you, what do you feel like, the NFL draft can be compared to the Ma'afa?
Well, nothing. Well, number one, nothing compares to the fullness of the Ma'afa. But of course, you can find similarities. You know what I'm saying in it. The sentiment. And one thing I want to point out: he wasn't comparing the NFL draft to slavery. He was comparing the NFL combine to slavery.
Oh, the combine. Thank you.
Right,
okay,
right.
Combine.
And the combine, the majority of the players that go to the combine, a lot of them are not even going to be drafted. That's why they go to the combine. The combine is like your last chance as a college player to show what you have as far as your intangibles, how high you can jump, how fast you can run, how strong you are. They give you a mental aptitude test and that sort of thing, right? Some of the more elite college players don't even go to the combine, but most of them do. So the combine, you don't get paid to go to the combine. Matter of fact, you only go to the combine via invitation only, to be invited to the NFL combine. So he's comparing the NFL combine to the auction block. And at that combine, yes, at the combine, they poke and prod you. I know I have friends who've gone through it. They poke and prod you. They look at your teeth. They do all of that at the combine, right? And so
do they inspect your genitals? Like they did with our ancestors? Do they make you stand there nude I'm just asking, do they make you stand there nude?
Yeah, damn, they're nude. Now, I don't know what they do with the genitals. I can't speak on that, but I know you get a full body workup and you're dressed down, if even down to underwear. So it's not a 100% comparison, of course, right? And I thought about it after you and I talked the other night, and I said, you know what? But the combine for a football player does come on the tail end of an experience that's probably even closer to slavery, the aspect of slavery where the buck who could wrestle, you know what I'm saying, they would have those wrestling matches between the big bucks, or the buck that could breed, would get access to more than other enslaved Africans would get access to. They had somewhat of an easier life because they were making money for the master. And the power dynamic relationship in sports that's more related to that is Division I sports.
So what about the property aspect, Baba? Yes. So, Baba, what about the property aspect? Because we talked about that as well, that when you belong to the NFL, when you become a part of the NFL, you belong to them. They own you, your property. And so you and I talked about the book, $40 Million Slave. So once you are a part of the NFL, or belong, as I should say, to the NFL, you can't speak on certain things, right? You can't say certain things. You can't do certain things. You really do become a slave to the NFL. Could you expound on that, Baba? I mean,
well, in the sense of the word, what I'm saying. Now you are getting paid, right? It, like when I think about it, it's like an equation. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like most athletes that get to the NFL, they've been groomed to be a professional athlete their whole life. Most don't make it, but most who get there, they've been groomed to be an athlete, not a pharmacist, not a engineer. They've been groomed to be an athlete because you've been a cold running back since you were little, right? And so there's a mental aspect of it, right, where you're only prepared to do this one thing. That's why 85% of Black professional athletes go broke within 5 years of leaving their professional sport, because they've only been groomed and trained to do this one thing. So it's kind of like being the buck on the plantation that has access to more than everyone else. You have access to millions, but you haven't been trained to manage millions. You have access to this money, but you haven't been trained to handle this money. And you'll find that with a lot of players, a lot of Black players, they, as long as they're making money for the team and they're successful, their transgressions are covered up by the team.
Absolutely.
A lot of them buy cars from the owner of the team's friends. A lot of them get houses from the owners of the team's friends. Right? There's an umbrella of protection around them. And when they're no longer viable to the team, that umbrella of protection is pulled away, and then now you're out here unprepared to deal.
Remember, there was some sort of, shooting, I think at a club or something, and somebody ended up dead, and Ray Lewis ended up getting off. But I remember people kept saying he got off because he was covered by those NFL owners. They knew that Ray Lewis was getting ready to make them a lot of money. And so they said, we can't have our golden goose going to jail. And so what we're going to do is we're going to protect the golden goose. But
and
then
a high valued enslaved African got that same kind of treatment. If you were a blacksmith, if you were a high valued buck, if you were a high valued enslaved African, you were treated different than someone who was just a field hand. Your transgressions were covered up, but as soon as you were no longer a commodity, or as soon as you mentioned freedom, or as soon as you said something that might buck the system, that umbrella of protection is pulled away from you, and it'll flip on you. And now you're being attacked. Now those who were clapping for you are now cheering for your demise. And you can see that analogy right now today.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to use Ray Rice as an example. So with Ray Lewis, he was covered, but he was covered because he signed his contract. They said this golden goose is going to lay us a lot of eggs. And so we want to make sure we protect him. But with Ray Rice got to a point where he wasn't really performing, that well on the team. And so when he got into the situation with with the girl, it was his girlfriend at the time. It was the elevator incident where I think she spit on him and then he knocked her out, but he didn't get that same protection. They got him out of there.
Not only did he not get the same protection, the team may have been the ones that leaked the footage.
You never know. And so,
look, Deshaun Watson, with everything that just came out on him in Houston, that came on the heels of him going public saying he didn't want to be in Houston anymore. All of a sudden, he's a predator. But when he was an all-pro quarterback, you heard nothing.
You didn't hear anything.
And
peace to the elders that joined us, Queen Mother Althea, Baba Sakin Ra. He's in the building. Baba just did 100 miles last month. He's motivating me. Because I said, goodness gracious, if the elders are out there running 100 miles in a month, I need to get my stuff together. But peace to
I drove 100 miles last month.
You said, but you did run 100 miles.
A
BB5 Hodier, Baba. Peace to you, Baba. So he's in the building. But yeah. So getting back to Kaepernick, when I initially started seeing headlines of him comparing, you said it's not the draft, it's the combine.
Yes.
Yeah. And so when I saw, just, hittings, news hittings, news headlines of them making that comparison. Initially, I got to be honest with you, Baba, I was offended, I was offended. And I said to you on the telephone, I said, Baba, I do see some parallels, and you explained it to me. You said, think about some. So I said, I do see some aspects, but I said, there was a lot of things that happened to our ancestors prior to them being put on the auction block. I mean, we can go back to, remember prior to the auction block, we were quarantined when we were brought to America. The breaking ground. So we went, we were in places like down in Charleston, South Carolina, Sullivan Island, it was a breaking ground right there. Prior to being on the breaking grounds, we were on the ships. Packed at the bottom of ships, laying in our own feces, laying in our own urine, witnessing the rape of men, of women, people being thrown overboard, some people jumping overboard. So we witnessed all of that. And then prior to that, we were housed in slave dungeons. I mean, I had the opportunity to visit Almena and Cape Coast in 2019. I went over to Cameroon in February, but I didn't get a chance to explore the dungeons over there. But that's, so when he said that, I said, well, wait a minute. These players, I can't compare with, I got offended, Baba. And then when I started thinking about all of the atrocities that our ancestors experienced on the plantation, my first thought was, how dare you, make that comparison. But I will say that I do understand that aspects of
the sentiment,
the sentiment,
the
I can
energy,
totally understand it.
Right? There's a cultural memory that springs up. right? Because you think about the majority of the young men who's going through it, they don't know the history. At least they don't know the details of the history, right? But I've talked to several athletes that have gone through it, and they felt the energy. They felt the discomfort. Like there's always a group of them that just can't get with the program, and they don't necessarily know what it is, you know. And for a Black athlete, Division I sports, college is the breaking grounds.
Right.
College is that place where they're playing, but you can't get paid. You're getting hurt. They're going to use you. That school is making millions and millions of dollars all off of your back. And you're
Absolutely.
trained to be grateful for the opportunity to do that, to blow out your knee. And they're not serious about your education. Now, you can be serious about your education, but the institution is not really serious about your education. I remember talking to a former professional athlete, and he talked about a brother that he played with all 4 years in college who was a top athlete but couldn't read.
Mhm,
And the
mhm.
coaches made sure he didn't get to anybody's class. They
Oh, I
wasn't
bet you they
concerned.
did. They
Yeah, they
mhm.
wasn't concerned about it. You know what I'm saying? And so their whole value as human beings, they're told, is in being able to win this lottery to get to the NFL.
Absolutely. And brother, young warrior Ryan Jordan, he said, and what happened in places like Baltimore with the farms made me break out crying. They don't teach
Yeah,
the harsh
they
truth
don't teach the
about
harsh
these
truth.
things. And he's
Right,
right. They did have these farms in Baltimore, these breeding farms, and right
right,
set up actually in Baltimore County where I
right,
grew up. So
right.
yeah, you're right, brother Jordan. You're 100% right. And
Absolutely,
Queen Mother out
absolutely.
there said, in the rape and the children too.
Right,
So,
right.
come
Right.
on.
And again, nothing compares to the Ma'afa, and I don't think he was making a flat out comparison. I think he was just comparing the energy and the sentiment at the NFL combine to the auction block, which of course that's not even a parallel. That's not a literal parallel, because you had families sold on the auction block. You had babies ripped from their mother's arms on auction
On the
block.
auction block, right.
You had sexual predators legally purchasing little girls and little boys, with
On
everybody in the crowd knowing what they're being purchased for at
on
the
the auction
auction block.
block. Right. Absolutely. So like you said, I think that he was trying to make, some of those parallels, and I get it, but I hope that that was the intention, right? Like just to point out how some aspects of slavery may be
Right.
similar to that, cuz like you said, the whole
Yeah.
experience,
But it's
we
still a
know.
co-op. It's still
Yeah.
a co-op of our story, Doc. It's still a watering down of our history. It's still an attempt to control the narrative on our history. Like he's supposed to be the new Ali or the new black militant. You know what I'm
Come
saying?
on. Come on. Come on.
And so it's marketing with the afro and all that. That's still an attempt to spoon feed you a little black history, spoon feed you a little black pride, so they can control just how far into that well you get into. Let
No,
me
I
make you
couldn't.
feel black enough to where you feel like you did something, so you won't get no ideas and actually get out here and do something. Just be black enough to pay your Netflix subscription for the next 6 months.
For the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Brother Marcus X, he said that story was very white. The soundtrack was the blackest part of the story. He's not lying. It was a lot of like 90s hip hop in the
Yeah.
soundtrack. He said,
Yeah.
is his biological father even black? And I do agree with you that it was watered down. And
Mhm.
Baba, have you noticed that they're making biracial men and I don't, if this is not a, I'm just talking, but
Mhm.
like you said, now he's the image of the militant black man. So
Right.
the biracial man with the afro. I've even seen the biracial women. Now they're the
Mhm.
image of black beauty. But then when you look
Uh-huh.
at these women,
Uh-huh.
they're biracial
Uh-huh.
females with like
Uh-huh.
loose curl hair. It's never like
Yeah.
a chocolate sister or a brown skin sister with an afro that's like the symbol of beauty. It's like now it's the
Right.
biracial or racially ambiguous woman that may look sort of kind of like she got some black in her.
Right.
Like that is, and there,
It's,
and I
it's
see,
the
mhm.
Claudette Colvin, Rosa Parks.
Ah,
Right? It's
uh-huh.
the same formula. Many of us believe that Rosa Parks, what I'm saying, was the first woman to refuse to give up her seat in Montgomery on the bus system. But we know that the first woman to actually do it was a teenager named
Absolutely.
Claudette Colvin.
Mm-hmm.
And she was brushed to the side. The NAACP didn't run to her. They didn't put her out there, right? And the reason why they didn't put her out there, and this is what the NAACP said to her family. She's too dark skinned, right? And I think she had gotten pregnant, right? But the main thing was she was too dark skinned. But they had Rosa Parks, who was an NAACP secretary. They sent her to do a Claudette Colvin impression on the bus, did not give up her seat, and she became the face of the Montgomery boycott. So,
LB, what are you I'm sorry, go ahead, make your point, Bob.
ahead.
I was getting ready to address
Yeah.
something. LB
Yeah.
said his biological father, both his biological parents are black. No, they not, sir. No, they're not.
I know he was adopted by a
Yeah,
white
he was
couple.
adopted by a white couple. His birth mother is a Caucasian woman. She gave birth to him in 1987 in Milwaukee when she was 19 years old. His father is an African American. Go ahead, Baba. Please continue.
Yeah. So it's a lot safer to have a Rosa Parks to be the face of the Montgomery bus boycott
Baba,
than a Claudette Colvin. So just like it's
no, go ahead, Baba. That was me.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
just like it's safer to have a Colin Kaepernick to be the face of resistance or racial discussion in sports. You know what I'm saying? And so again, it's still that watering down. Let Lamar Jackson step up and say something. It's going to be a totally different reaction. You know what I'm saying? And so the whole thing is an attempt, as far as I'm concerned, to control the narrative. And to keep you paying your Netflix subscription, because they might about to pull what's his Dave Chappelle special.
Absolutely. Look,
off the thing, you're giving you Colin because they might be getting ready to yank Dave.
Absolutely. And Baba Sakamra, he said Rosa Parks was the eye appealing one.
Yes.
So she absolutely was. She absolutely was, Baba.
Right. So
LB,
now you're seeing that same parallel. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
The more they stay the same.
That's why history rewards our research. History rewards our understanding. These are not new patterns in media. These are not new patterns at all.
Not at all.
We got to ask ourselves, why is controlling the narrative of our story, still so important?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What are your thoughts? And you said controlling the narrative of our story is important. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts about the idea that we shouldn't create any more movies about slavery? You have people that say, I'm tired of seeing movies about slavery. I don't want to see that anymore. But if we cease in doing that, then what will happen? You like if we cease in at least telling that aspect of our history, and we allow other people to do it, then our children will be getting watered down history from Netflix or from Amazon Prime or the other streaming platforms. So what are your thoughts about that? When we say controlling the narrative, controlling all of it, in addition to including
I think
slavery.
Controlling the narrative is about creating the narrative as well, right? I think that we've been raised with such a protest mentality that we're experts at talking about what we want to stop. We're loudest about what we want to stop. But then when somebody says, well, what do we want to start? Everybody's quiet, because starting requires courage. Starting requires sacrifice and investment. I don't say stop the slavery movies. Start the African King movies. Where's Mansa Musa's epic? Where is Sundiata Keita, the real Lion King? Where's Sundiata Keita's movie, right? Mm-hmm. Where's the love stories from West Africa? Love stories from Haiti? Where are those love stories? Where are those stories about us outside of slavery, before slavery, through slavery, out of slavery, killing folks for enslaving us? Where are those stories? So what do we need to start?
Absolutely.
Because if you stop the slavery movies, what are you going to start? And the issue. That's the issue. Is that there's too many. It's not that there's too many slave movies. It's just that when you talk Black history, you begin with slavery, you stay on slavery. The African American was not created in slavery. Our story does not start there, and it doesn't end there. But I was told a long time ago, where you start is where you're gonna end up. Be careful. Be careful. The slave movies and first Negro movies are more about white benevolence and acceptance than they are about the plight and experiences of Black people.
And let me touch on that, because what I noticed when I was watching the series, and I don't want to give it away because I know you said you didn't see all of the episodes, Baba. I mean, but he talked about white approval
Mm-hmm.
in one of the episodes, and I'm bringing up my notes now, and I took a whole bunch of
Right.
notes. But he talked about white approval. He said, he kept saying, anything you want to do in America, you only can do it with that white man's approval. But
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that they didn't call it what it was. They didn't call it racism and white supremacy. That word was never said in the series. I didn't
Yeah.
hear the word racism. I didn't hear white supremacy. None of those terms were used. So it was like brother X said, it was a watered, to me, it was a lot of things that were watered down.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I felt like he touched on some really good points. He talked about the standard of beauty being controlled by white people. He talked about how in the media black people are, we're depicted as being ugly. White
Mm-hmm.
folks are depicted as beautiful, and how that plays a role in how we see ourselves, right, and how we view others who look like us. So he
Right.
touched on that, and I thought that was really, really good. He talked about media manipulation. So I'm talking about in the context of beauty. He
Mm-hmm.
said that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. However, what we behold has been manipulated, right? And that's what he said.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, cool, cool, cool. But when he started talking about, I was waiting for, him to say, he started talking about the standard of beauty, and let's talk about racism and white supremacy. Let's talk about how racism is a system that
Mm-hmm.
impacts all areas of human activity,
Right.
media, entertainment, education, politics. Like, let's get into that. But the terms racism, and someone could tell me in the chat room that I didn't hear it. I didn't hear anything
Right.
about, white domination, white supremacy, because I know that some elders say that they don't like that term, white supremacy.
Right.
But
Right.
racism, I didn't hear those terms at all
Mm-hmm.
mentioned in the series. So, again, Baba, that gives I guess credence to what you were saying earlier, or just supports what you were saying earlier, that it was kind of the series was still a little bit watered down. They put a little bit of our stuff in there,
Right. Right.
and
Because you
then
don't
it
have
was
to put in a whole lot to stir up people, who don't ever get anything. Right. So if I'm never in my daily experience, I'm never dealing with that. I'm never studying the parallels or the racial dynamics or power dynamics in America. I'm just trying to go to work and pay my bills, come home. You know what I'm saying? I got white Jesus on the wall, and that sort of thing. Right. I got Jesus on the main line. So when I look at Netflix and I see that to me is uber black, almost too black. I'm almost looking around. That's why you got a lot of your black sport pundits when it came out. They slamming Kaepernick for doing it, but or they're trying not to talk about it at all, because the first thing they got to do is see, boss, how you feel about it. Is boss mad? If boss mad, we got to go on TV and be mad.
That's
If
right.
boss ain't saying nothing, we ain't gonna go on TV and say nothing till boss say something.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that whole dynamic is there. Of course, it's all going to come back to ownership. And I think that what the pseudo integration generation has done to us, one of the things is that we see institutions created by white people as absolutes. For example, we don't say a media, we say the media,
The media. You're right.
and we put the definitive article, right? I saw brother in the chat. He was like, "Man, ain't them kind of movies, they ain't gonna never go to the mainstream. The mainstream. That's just a mainstream. We could build our own stream. We've done it before. It's so ironic that back in the early 1900s, when the Klan had 10 million members marched out in the open, and the president was watching Birth of a Nation in the White House, and that movie was running for 20 straight years, you still had an Oscar show. You still had black movie theaters popping up all over the country, independent black films that was our mainstream, that only went away when white folks saw that black people had money under their mattress and said, hold up, let's bring a few black people to Hollywood because they believe our ice cream is colder than their ice cream. Let's offer them acceptance so they'll give up ownership. Same thing with Negro
Mm.
League Baseball, a multi-million-dollar black-owned business
Yes.
that as soon
Yes.
as so-called Major League Baseball let Jackie Robinson play, they predicted it. that spending power that we just saw over there, it's about to come over here because they value our acceptance over their own ownership because of the type of education and the type of treatment that they're receiving in this country.
Absolutely. And Baba, there's a museum here in Baltimore. Matter of fact, it's Owens Mills, dedicated to the Negro Leagues. And an elder came to what we have it's called the Baltimore County African American Cultural Festival. We have that
Right.
around the second or third week of September each year. And there was like an elder who runs that exhibit in the museum. And he came through and he had a beautiful display showing us the different Negro League players, showing us the crowd, showing
Right.
us like pictures, black and white pictures of the crowd and the females who were also Negro baseball league players, because I didn't know it was like 3 females who played
Yes.
in the Negro baseball leagues.
Uh-huh.
But I cried when I saw
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
When I saw those faces and the crowd and all, I cried when I saw it. I
Right.
said, God dang it, how did we give up this?
Ownership
It was like you said, we gave up ownership
for acceptance.
for acceptance. I cried when
And
I
we're
looked at his
paying for it.
display.
And we're paying for it to the point now to where even in our poverty, right, we celebrate people who make it through. We look at Jay-Z and Beyonce and we feel like we made it. It's a dupe. It's like you be like Mike, just buy the shoes, and you can be like Mike if you buy the shoes, right? But are you like Mike? You know,
But you're right. We do, and I'm getting so tired, Baba, of
living vicariously through the
through
few that make
through a
it.
few. Yes, we're online. People are putting up memes. So and so is the first black woman to graduate from this program, or the first black man to work here, or the first. I said, when will we stop celebrating that stuff? Like
Right.
this is the first, like you said, the first person
Yeah.
to made it
It's
into their
Novocaine.
spaces. Yeah, it's
That's the
crazy.
Novocaine. That's the numbing agent that they give you when you go to the dentist. You know what I'm saying? At least you can turn on TV and see some rich black people. At least you can turn on TV and see a few successful black people and take your mind off of the blight that's going on in front of you. You know, we don't even learn local politics in school. You don't even learn what's going on your street. You don't know about the next bond package that's coming through. You're not aware of how your money's being stolen from you and taken to the other side of town to help build up the other side of town. And you're not even trained to pay attention to that. There's so much going on systemically right in front of us that we're not even paying attention to because we're distracted by these other overarching deals. How's the economy? Do we know? Or do we just know that? Or do we just know the Democrats ain't racist?
No. We know that Jay-Z just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
So we can talk about that. But like you said, when you talk about other things, we're lost.
Or disinterested.
Yes.
Or so overwhelmed with the information that your defense mechanism comes up, because when you get into a conversation you're not prepared for, most of us get defensive. So now I don't want to talk about that mess, but it's really not mess. What I'm saying is that is way too complicated. You know, I'm not prepared to think critically about that. That's not in my training. That's not in my programming. And if it's not in my programming, it does not compute.
As Sharent said, since we created everything, it should be the first white person to do this and that.
Yeah, right. And so that's why we focus on education, because we have to flip that dynamic.
That's
we have
right.
to flip that dynamic. Inclusion does not start when black people go into traditionally white spaces. Inclusion begins in pre-K when we talk about the African origin of mathematics.
Yes.
The African origins of science. That's inclusion. Include us in the shaping of civilization. That's where inclusion begins.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more, Baba. You're on fire. They're like, Baba, make it plain. They're like in the chat, like, Baba. Look, the people in the chat, like, Baba, make it plain. Baba. They love it. They love it.
So they want you to be happy that Netflix put on Who Killed Malcolm. Netflix spoon feed your black story, some black voices here and there, but you're not even noticing Quayle.tv over here. with the sister that got the powerful streaming service going on right now with just about every beautiful black movie you could think of on there, right? And it is and what they're doing is making sure don't no Negro League pop up. Don't no
and look,
independently owned black platform pop up and gain any steam that'll take money out of their pocket.
and in his in his Netflix movie, he talked about a lot of history. He didn't talk about the Negro Leagues, you know,
Ownership's
because
not allowed.
come on, he didn't
Black
talk about
ownership's
that.
not allowed in Black history. You don't talk about them as heroes. When we learn about the Montgomery bus boycott, right? We learn they talk about Black people walking to work. They talk about Black people carpooling to work. They don't talk about the Black-owned businesses that provided safe havens for cars to pull up and people to meet at. They don't talk about the Black-owned businesses that allowed Dr. King to sleep in the back room and the Black-owned bed and breakfast that allowed the activists to come in. They never talk about the fact that there is no civil rights movement without Black-owned businesses.
Come on, Baba.
We never learn that part. Ownership is wiped out completely. Even with the story of Malcolm, the only thing they want you to know about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is that he had multiple wives, but they don't want you to know about them trucks.
No,
they don't want you to know about them farms,
or about the land, those farms,
bakeries, that land. He had more than one wife. He evil and he probably killed Malcolm. Don't even look over there. You don't learn about Mark. If Marcus, the only thing Garvey did was make a flag. We celebrate him every February. But he messed around and had a printing press. He messed around and had multiple businesses in multiple cities, creating co-ops and networks, economic networks, international economic networks without Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That part's not allowed.
No, we can't talk about it.
That's not allowed to be in the story. And so when I watch these documentaries, if I don't see a celebration of Black ownership, then I know they just following the system.
But LB just made a comment. He said that's baseball, so I don't think that's fair. You must haven't seen the series because he talked about his story. He was initially going to go into baseball, right? And so I don't understand your comment, LB. So please watch the series because he talked about baseball a lot in the series. And someone asked the website that you just mentioned, Baba. I mean, the website is Quali TV. And I think someone said it in the chat. Brother LB said it. He said Quali TV. So King Aziz, that's the streaming service that he mentioned. So he was saying, we go out here, we give our money to Netflix. But what about Quali TV? Which is a streaming platform that tells our stories.
They can do more when you give them more.
That's right.
I remember when Netflix used to send DVDs to your house.
That's right. But we got to start somewhere.
They had nothing on there. And they sent them DVDs to your house. But, Black folk, we never sent them back. So they had to.
Yeah, but my whole thing is, but Baba, my thing is this: you got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere, And so again, people are saying they don't have much and all of this, but you got to start somewhere. Just like with the other platform, WeBuyBlack.com, you got to start somewhere. And if we don't start somewhere, we won't have anything. What did you say, Baba?
Right. The Great Pyramid took 2,300,000 stones to build it, but they had to start with one rock.
Come on.
Somebody had to lay that first stone. And they had to lay it in the perfect position, or the rest of them wouldn't matter. And then somebody had to add on to that and add on to that until they had the greatest structure ever built. Well, that's how you build any business.
That's right.
That's how you build any business. And we do have to make a deliberate effort to support businesses that are going to support the community back.
Absolutely. That's key. But Bob, let's stick there. That's key. Because we're not just going to be giving you our money just to give you our money.
Oh, no, no.
And Baba Kwame, who I have up here. No, like I said, what you just said, that point was key. It was critical. We're going to support businesses that give back to the community. Baba Kwame, he is a huge supporter of Black-owned businesses, but he only supports businesses that Black-owned businesses that he knows gives back to the community. Otherwise, he's not going to support you.
I say, absolutely. Because that's why you do it. I mean, I'm from the hood, and the average corner store in the hood make anywhere from $250,000 to $600,000 a year. That's little corner store that got the Arab in it or whatever, and they selling you the Black and Miles in the candy jar. You know what I'm saying? They taking home almost $500,000 a year, but they have zero interest in investing in little leagues, investing in after school programs for your children, because they don't live in that community.
Absolutely.
Yet we're not educating our children to run stores.
No. No, I saw a. You're right. I agree with you. I saw a post early on social media. You're probably aware of the program called All This Math. It's a
Mhm.
brother that has a program called All This Math, and the program is really taken off. And there was someone who made the comment, "Well, I'm not going to support that program. I'm going to teach my child to run a business. But how the hell are you going to teach your child to run a business if they can't add or subtract, multiply, divide, manage books, manage books?" Manage accounting.
Right,
How are you gonna do that? And so
right,
again,
right,
Baba,
right. Without math,
without math. But
And
going
then
back
why
to what
make that statement?
yeah,
You're
and then but
dealing with
going
something else on the inside.
absolutely and
Why
going
are
back
you
to
even compelled to make a statement? Well, let me tell you why I'm not supporting you. Like,
right. But
huh?
Baba, going back to what you were saying about the corner stores, I had spoke to an Asian corner store owner, and he
Mm-hmm.
said that he cleared 10,000 a week
Mm-hmm.
from that little, like you said, that
Mm-hmm.
little store on the
Mm-hmm.
corner. He said,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he said, my family, we make about 10,000, per week.
A week.
So you figure you do the math.
Just do the
That's
math on that.
40,000 a month.
But ain't no
40,
money in the hood. Come
no
on now.
money, no money's in the black
Come on
community.
now. So why we not competing? Why we skipping over these institutions in our communities and running out here again for acceptance? When you got these
Facts.
institutions and coming back to the documentary, how's that relate to that, Bible? A lot of those brothers on the Columbine at the combine, the ones that don't go to the NFL, a lot of them end up back in front of them corner stores.
Come on. That's a
A
fact.
lot of them end up back in not coming back to the neighborhood owning the corner store. A lot of them end up coming back to the neighborhood, hanging out in front of the corner store, talking about what could have been. I almost made it to the league if it wasn't
Mm,
for my knee. Let me go in here and give me another 40 right quick. I'll be back.
mm, mm. And it's sad, Baba. I want to move this discussion into that
Okay.
book, $40 million Slaves.
Mhm.
We touched on it a little bit earlier. Sister Melissa, she put it in the chat again.
Mhm.
Can you, and I know you're familiar with the book as well, but can you speak to that book, Baba, just in case some people aren't familiar with
It's
that book?
been some years. It's been some years for me, But $40 million Slave is basically talking about the power dynamic that I think Colin Kaepernick read it.
Absolutely.
It's talking about the power dynamic, in American sports and the plight of the black athlete in American sports and how that relates to racism, how the black athlete is perceived in society, how the black athlete is treated in society, and what the black athlete has to deal with, and how a black athlete, even though he may sign a multi-million-dollar contract, may feel a pressure that feels like slavery, may feel a lack of freedom. You know what I'm saying? Just based on how they have to move, how they have to navigate, how they are treated, and certain things that they go that they go through, right? And it's basically saying, what's the point in having access to all of this money if you can't say what you want to say? If you can't defend your community, the community that you came up out of, you can't go back and truly invest. Because understand, from professional athletes that I've talked to, most or many have CPAs, a lot of times recommended to them by the team, have CPAs, right, that get power of attorney and have to sign. And a lot of professional athletes have to get permission on every check they write.
Mm.
Many professional athletes, right, are bombarded on Tuesday when the check comes. Certain preachers get to come into the locker room. I had one athlete tell me the first thing the owner sent in is his homeboy that's a preacher. Them white preachers coming there and they coming and getting them donations. They come and getting that money. Boom, boom, boom. Black pastors can't, TD and them can't get in that locker room.
TD can't get in the locker
No,
room,
they can't get
but
in that
but
locker room.
the white
No,
pastors is
white
going.
pastors be right up in there. You know what I'm saying? So the money, a lot of that professional athlete money is circulating in an economic system that's already set up. That's
Facts.
already set up. And they have things in place to help prevent you from stepping outside of that to do anything, you know what I'm saying, that might put money in somebody else's pockets or away from their pockets. Every now and then you get a transcendent player like a LeBron James that has so much value on and off the court, You know, he makes more money in endorsements than he does with his in an NBA check. That he can push the envelope just a little further than everybody else.
Mm.
But the Muhammad Ali's of the world, I remember Jim Brown, who's a running back in the day. He had to
Mm.
retire early before he could speak his mind. Muhammad
Mm.
Ali had to give up his championship,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And so you know, a lot of people making these comparisons to today. Nah, because there were movements on the other side. Jim did a whole lot of economic organizing with other black people and setting up black-owned businesses behind the scenes. Muhammad Ali was a Muslim, and he dealt with black business and black dollars and uplifting the community behind the scenes.
So you
Right.
mean, so hold up, Bible. What are you saying? Are you saying that Kaepernick isn't our modern day Muhammad Ali? Is that what you're saying,
Nah,
Baba?
I wouldn't say that at all. You know, I wouldn't say that at all. Now I'm not gonna take away from him kneeling, you know, and that sort of thing. I'm not taking away from that. But as far as that sacrifice, as far as that person who has a movement attached to what he's doing that we can see that's tangible. Nah, I don't see that. I see black liberation fashion.
Symbols,
You know what
symbol,
I'm saying? Right. But as
symbols.
far, yeah, but where's the reparations talk? Where's,
Yeah, where,
you know what
where
I'm
the
saying?
tangibles?
Yeah,
Where are the
right.
tangibles?
Yeah.
Mhm.
If we're still just talking about inclusion and racial attitudes, that's not the same as black liberation, equity, and justice. That's not the same.
No, it's not. It's not the same at all.
Yeah.
So, Baba, in the series, he touched on the American dream, and I do love that. I believe this was in maybe episode 2 or episode 3.
Uh-huh.
He talked about the American dream and how it's always been put out there by the media, by politicians, that if you work hard, if you just get a good education, you will succeed in America. You will be able to buy a house with a white picket fence. You'll be able to buy a car. You'll be able to sustain your family, send your kids to
Right.
college. You just got
Right.
to do the right thing.
Right.
And the right thing is, going to school, getting
Mhm.
an education, and
Mhm.
getting a good job. And if you do
Mhm.
this stuff, you will achieve the American dream. And he
Right.
said when he got older, he realized that that wasn't the case.
Mm. Well,
So,
you know
Baba, what
what?
do you, mhm,
There is truth in that. You know, I mean, I'm an educator, you know,
mhm,
and I teach my students that, you know, yeah, if you work hard, you make the right decisions, you get your education, you master a skill. When I say
mm,
education, I'm not necessarily talking about a degree, but you master your skills. You see the world as your oyster. Globally, you can go anywhere, not
mm.
just in America. Right.
Come on.
And yes, you can have a house and you can have land. Racism ain't gonna stop you. That's not our issue. The issue is, what are you going to do with it when you get there? The
Come
issue
on.
is sustainability. The issue is your family values. Are you looking to establish generational wealth? Right? In capitalism, those who establish generational wealth dupe the masses into thinking that wealth is an individual thing to go get. Grow up, become 18, move out your parents' house. Now you own your own,
Mm,
because you can't build any sustainability like that. Right?
mm, mm.
So yeah, what's stopping you is your miseducation. Are there
Come on.
institutions out there that are out there to challenge you? Yes, but you need to be educated to truly challenge those institutions and
That's a
build
fact.
institutions of your own.
That's a
You can
fact.
cut out 75% of the racism if you just need racist institutions to take care of your survival needs.
Mhm, mhm.
A lot of black people who lived in the South and rural areas back in the day didn't physically experience racism because a lot of times they didn't hardly have to leave the land.
Mm,
You experienced racism when you went to town. But if you
mm.
built the town and you had your land in the town
Come on,
and your
Baba.
uncle is a sheriff, you ain't experienced a whole lot of racism.
Come on, Baba. That's a fact.
Ownership is protection.
Hold up. Say that again, Baba.
Ownership is
It's
protection. That's
protection.
a form of protection.
But you have to own. We have to own we have to control,
You have
and
to
we have to
own.
educate. And then we have
Mhm.
to educate our babies so we can inculcate them with that mentality. Dr.
Exactly.
Amos Wilson always talks about how we groom them to operate like servants. They
Right.
serve the interests of the dominant society, and we
Right.
need to teach our babies to serve the interests of our people, of themselves and our people.
Pseudo integration. And I'm almost finished with the book I'm working on called the Integration Report Card. But pseudo integration, right,
Hmm.
has trained us to teach us away from ownership. You know how many times I've heard have black people come up with an idea, man, we're gonna buy some land, we're gonna do this. Man, them folks ain't gonna let you do that. What's
Hmm.
them folks?
Self,
Where they
self,
at?
a self-defeating
A
mentality.
self-defeating mentality
Come
based
on.
on fear. We didn't, you know what I'm saying? Oh man, they burnt down Black Wall Street. Well, they didn't burn down every black community. Integration burnt down Black Wall Street in the end.
Come on.
In the end, integration along with because they brought the acceptance out, and then they built a highway and split up your neighborhood with a freeway,
Hmm.
destroying the economics in your neighborhood, and then giving you a carrot saying you can move out here now. And what did it do? What did it do to us culturally? What did it do to us economically, spiritually, physically? We're not at our peak.
Not at all.
Not at all. You
Mm-mm.
know, and we're steady trying to become individuals, yet we're still getting politicked as a group. I'd be so confused. Be like, you on your own. You got to get it on your own. Got to get on your own. But if you're not black, you ain't black if you don't vote Democrat, though. Oh, now we're
Oh
a
my
group.
goodness. Right now we're a group.
Okay, now we're a group. Okay, let me know when we black and let me know when we individuals. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you black. Sometimes you got to be an individual. Man, let's invest in our own communities, man. Just be an individual. That's racist. Don't do all that. That's racist. Don't do all that. All right, well, you know what I'm thinking about voting Republican. Oh, man, you ain't black.
You
Well,
ain't
that's
black.
racist.
You ain't black. So one minute, like you said, 1 minute is individuality, and then one
Yeah,
one minute is collectivism.
right. So who's controlling the narrative on when it's time to be a collective?
Now, and I like this question. So Black Wool said, and
Mm,
what happens when you cannot defend and protect what you own, which is the fundamental problem of the global Black family? Now,
mm,
let me tell you why, Baba, this is a good question. I remember
okay.
we had a lecture in Baltimore. Shout out to Jabari Nator and Sundiata Azaze. No, Sundiata. I forgot his last name. He probably gonna get me. But some brother Sundiata and brother Jabari, they have an organization called Reality Speaks. It's been around for about 27 years in Baltimore, and we just recently had a lecture, maybe a few months ago, and it was called Buck Breaking. It was around the movie
Yeah.
Buck Breaking,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in the movie. Dr. Wesley Muhammad, he was in the movie. We brought in Lord Jamal, he was in the movie, and so we all got together, did a lecture in Baltimore, and there was a brother named Tawolo. And we call him Brother T. He asked the same thing because we were talking about Black Wall Street and other, because it was dozens of Black Wall Street. I mean, I know a lot
Right.
of people focus on Tulsa, but it was several of them. And he said, so what if we all go and we build up these communities? Then how will we be able to defend and protect what we own? And so I know that Dr. Wesley Muhammad, he talked about culture. Lord Jamal was just like, we need to learn martial arts and get guns. My answer, Baba, was STEM,
Mm-hmm.
technology. That was my because my whole thing is, well, who manufactures the guns? Where are your black owned gun
The manufacturer.
manufacturers and and
Right.
and black owned bullet manufacturers, right? So where are you getting your guns from?
Mm-hmm.
What about your devices? If we want to communicate with each other securely, what
Mm-hmm.
what devices do you own, right?
Right.
What cybersecurity specialists do you have so that we
Mm-hmm.
can encode our messages and transmit our messages safely to each other,
Right.
right? And that requires, again, technology, someone that understands circuitry. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so we cannot. So when people talk about defense, I'm thinking about STEM. A lot of these defense contractors like Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of those, they have engineers who work for
Mm-hmm.
them. So if we
Right.
want to talk about nation building and defending
Mm-hmm.
ourselves, then we better be involved in STEM, Baba.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. I think it takes a combination of everything that you just said in STEM, science, technology, engineering, the arts,
Come on, the
STEAM,
arts, the
and
arts.
math, has to definitely be at the foundation. What happens when we can't do that, when we can't protect this? Yeah, look out the window. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to know what happens when you can't protect your family, look out the window. Look at the current state of the black family. If you want to know what doesn't happen when you don't have ownership, when you can't maintain and protect ownership, or if you willingly give up ownership, look out the window.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens, right?
I'm sorry. I'm reading the comment on the screen.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Papa.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so, looking at solutions and doing it again. I don't believe you stop. I believe we have to have a critical study of what went wrong, then go at it again. Raise a generation to solve those issues, right? And give them something to come try to destroy. Make them say, if you build it, we're gonna destroy it. Make
Come
them
on.
say that. Don't not build it, because
But
man,
build it.
if they come, we can't protect it. How you know they coming? How you know that you pulling your dollars won't cripple them to the point to where they're too weak, that they need you as an ally, even if it's an uneasy ally. Create that
Mm,
problem and let's see what happens.
mm.
There's so many layers to it, and it's a generational task. It ain't gonna happen with us, but we need to start educating our children from here. Where can we own? Where can we live? Where
Mm.
can we build for ourselves? Why would we build for ourselves? What's the benefit of that? We have to paint that picture, and then we have to go for it, right? And when they're gonna come get you, eating a Snicker bar might get me.
Why snicker bar, Baba?
I'm just saying, I might get hit by a bus. I'm just saying, I ain't worried about that. We most scared of liberation. We should be scared of fried chicken.
Mm.
We ain't scared of fried chicken. We ain't scared of cigarettes. We ain't scared of liquor. We ain't scared of too many blunts. We ain't scared of none of that. We ain't scared of stepping up in front of niggas who got a gun at the club. We ain't scared of none of that. But ownership, ooh, they gonna come get us. Death
Mm.
is death.
Mm.
Okay, you don't get a special death when white people do it. It's still same. It's the same death.
Mm.
It's the same transition. So why not go out being righteous? Why not go out on a righteous cause, on a righteous path, instead of going out talking about what we would have done or could have done? I'm not walking around blaming white people and worrying about how they gonna respond to my liberation for the rest of my life.
Mm. Tell him, Baba.
Not gonna
Tell
do
him,
that.
Baba.
I refuse. I'm not gonna raise my children to do. I'm gonna raise them to be aware, but I'm not gonna raise them to not make moves because they anticipate that something all powerful is out there that's more powerful than the creator, more
Come on.
powerful than the ancestors, that'll stop them when they go and they moving in righteousness.
Yeah,
I
because
refuse
they
to do that.
black folks, we done made white people God. Oh, we didn't we don't I can't do it because the white people gonna get. We've made them
Yeah,
God.
that ain't fair to white people.
We've deified white people. When you
Yeah,
think about it, we've made them all knowing, all powerful, omnipresent,
right.
omnipotent. Isn't it called? Is it omnipotent?
Omnipotent.
Omnipotent. We then
Right,
made him omnipotent,
right,
omnipresent. Look, omnipresent, omnipotent, all powerful, all knowing.
right.
That's what we've done, Baba.
That's what I'm saying. And we got to stop focusing on that. That's why when we teach history at the UHURU Academy, we talk about our experience, not our experience in response to what happened. We don't even get to America till February in my beginners class.
Come on.
We don't even get to slavery till Black History Month. But prior to that, we studying the thousands upon thousands of years of freedom. And even when we get to slavery, it's about resistance. It's about our perspective towards it.
That's
Period.
right. That's right.
Period. Unapologetically.
That's
Right?
right.
It's all about perspective. And so we have to continue. Again, we have to continue to challenge the perspective, to take control of the narrative, to control the narrative. So anything you see in the media, their media, dealing with our story is an attempt to control the narrative. And there are
Hmm.
Black people out here every day every day, creating beautiful work from our perspective. We just have, it's our responsibility to find them and support them when we do.
That's a fact. That's a fact, Baba. That's a fact. So, Baba, look, I'm gonna we're gonna wrap up, and look, the
Okay.
people love it. You get nothing but fire, like fire symbols, Baba,
Give thanks
in
and
the, yeah,
praise to the
in the
Creator.
chat. And so I do appreciate you coming on short notice. I think I called you like the day before yesterday. Like, Baba, I need you to come on. We need to talk about this.
Anytime.
And you said, I got you. I'll be on. Then I canceled on you. I said, Baba, let's do it Thursday. You said, okay, I do it on Thursday
Mhm.
when we dismiss, because you do have an academy. Could you talk to the people
Yes.
about your academy, the UHURU Academy?
All
Talk to
right.
them about that, Baba, before we close out.
I say, and brother Black Wool, I'm not insensitive to your experience. You know what I'm saying? And I know that you can move in certain spaces, and competitors will move on you. You know what I'm saying, to hurt you. I know that when you build businesses, if you build it too close to where they at, they can throw a monkey wrench into what you're doing. And I'm sensitive to that. But at the same time, we have to keep building, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have the UHURU Academy. Now we're UHURU Academy Education Solutions. We're in our 11th year as a business, and we provide education solutions for Black children, Black families, Black institutions. We are an African Center school as well. We have an online academy that we're pushing right now, UHURU Academy Online, that is simply the best virtual education experience for Black children in the world right now, today, point blank, period. All
Mm,
right.
mm.
And it's a perfect alternative for homeschooling parents. It's a perfect alternative for parents who are tired of their children being in regular school, especially parents who are tired of their children dealing with pandemic protocols in the school, whether you're anti-vax, pro-vax, or just mad because the teacher on the virtual program is too relaxed, right? That you need to come check out the UHURU Academy online. And we enroll from 3rd grade through 12th grade, and we graduate our children. We send our children to college. We send our children to the workforce, and we create entrepreneurs. It's a perfect school for parents who are entrepreneurs who want their children to grow up with that same mindset and continue their legacy. It's a perfect program for parents who are Muslims, or who are Black nationalists, and want to make sure that their child's education reflect what they're learning at home, right? So I would implore everyone to go check us out at uhuruacademy.com, UHURU Academy.com. All right. We also have an adult program called Operation Reconnect for people who have stopped out of school. We will credential you. Well, does the state certify your credentials? No, we certify our credentials. We stand by our credentials. And since 2010, I've graduated a few hundred people, and asked me how many people had their diplomas rejected. I'll tell you, zero.
Come
Because
on,
we dot
Baba.
our I's, we cross our T's, and we handle our business, because we know that in America, the people have the right to educate themselves. That's your right. We just exercise that power.
Hmm.
Instead of focusing on walking into a predominantly white school, we can just be building stronger Black schools.
Come on.
We really can do that. They can't stop you. They won't stop you. Most of them don't care.
Say
Let's
it
get
again,
to
Baba.
work.
Most of them don't even care.
Most of them don't even care.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it. And I started mine in Texas. Just letting you know, right? But we deal with that. We train homeschooling parents. We help you find and provide resources. We're organized with other African center schools to build more of a network, a system of schools. And I want to shout out to UHURU Academy SC International here in Columbia, South Carolina, our sister school, our partner school that we're here with right now. I want to shout out to New Akibalan STEM Academy in Cheryl Irvin in Broward County, Florida. I also want to shout out to Brother Marcus Klein with Freedom Home Academy
That's
in
right.
Chicago and beyond. I want to shout out to my brother in Detroit, my brother Truth in Detroit with Liberation Farms. I want to shout out to my brother Q Butter, you know what I'm saying, with the Zion Institute in New York. It's a movement. Y'all want to shout out to all the member schools of the Council of Independent Black Institutions, CIBI. You know, some schools like Nation House in DC that's been here since 1972. It's always happening, y'all. The movement is always happening. The question is, are you engaged?
Are you engaged? That's right. Like you said, it's always happening. It's
Right.
always going on. But are
Oh,
you
and
a part
special
of it?
shout out to the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa. My wife and Koyo and I, we are currently serving as co-ministers of education, and we are in the midst of building a system that would allow any nationalist, any black nationalist or conscious citizen family. We want to empower you to pull your children out of the public food system.
That's what I always call it, Baba. The public food system.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah,
Baba,
and
thank you
shout
so.
out to Akabin Institute too. My bag, Baba Baruti,
Yes,
the
Baba
Mama
Baruti,
Baruti.
Mama Ya
Yes,
Baruti. Peace to
yes.
the elders. Peace to the elders. So, Bob, I'm going to open it up at least for another 25 minutes. Open it
All
up
right.
for folks to come on and comment. I
I
just
sure.
dropped the link in the chat, family. I just dropped the link in the chat. Come on in. What are your thoughts on Kaepernick comparing the combine to slavery? What are your thoughts, family? Come on in. I dropped the link in the chat. I'm going to do the same thing on Facebook because I do see that there are about a few people watching on Facebook. Peace to Baba. Kevin Nielsen, peace to you, Baba. Come on, Baba, you got to come on. This is a warrior, Baba. I mean,
I say.
the warrior. Yeah, Baba. He's a warrior. He's a warrior for our people. And it was crazy because he and I got connected and we started vibing. And I think that it was either my uncle buddy or either Baba Kevin. One of them
Mhm.
recognized that we all kind of knew each other. I may have reached out to Baba Kevin and said, you know it. Oh yeah, your uncle, that's my brother. That's my brother. You know, and it was like, wow, we connected literally. And so it was only one person between us, and that was my uncle Buddy. And
Okay.
Uncle Buddy knew him from back in the day. And then, then he and I had connected. And so it was just beautiful. But go ahead, family. The StreamYard link is in the chat. Come on in, click the link, family. Baba, I mean, and I are we're gonna hit out if we don't get any calls. If anyone doesn't come in, we're gonna we're gonna hit on now. But come on in and tell us your thoughts about Kaepernick. Comparing the combine to slavery, or I mean, if you watch the series and you just want to drop some jewels, drop some information, come on in. Come on in. So the link is in the chat. Come on in. What are your thoughts about the series in general? What are your thoughts about Kaepernick? Just come on in and share your thoughts. There's my young warrior. Warrior, you have the floor. You got to unmute your mic. You got to unmute your mic, warrior. My young warrior, the Safo.
I say.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Now, first thing I want to say, I'm glad like I had my day off today. I could kind of chill at home. I seen your live stream. I was like, I got to hop over there. I got to hop over there. So when it comes to what Kaepernick was talking about, like that's how I've kind of seen the NFL ever since I was a little boy. Which it may sound weird, sister, because I was 4 years old, but I can remember being a little boy looking at the TV at the NFL, at football, at basketball, but really football, and just thinking somehow this doesn't seem right. Like
Mm.
somehow this seems wrong. Of course, when you get older and see that a lot of these teams are owned by these white men, and that black people aren't controlling the NFL, black people aren't controlling the NBA and all this type of stuff. Um, I could kind of see the comparisons where Kaepernick is like, yo, this is like the slave master, and what they was doing in slavery with the black men, like measuring them, doing all of that. And so growing up, I just never got into like the NFL or nothing like that. Like my pops, he would try to get me into it, like watching ESPN, like NFL, all that. But for me, I was more of the nerdy, like let me just go to school, get my work done kind of kid. And even to this day, I never got into it. Like I'm not knocking people who are into it, but I just never got the whole idea of people, but really black people watching these sports teams owned by Urugu, like playing
Mm.
against each other, and grown ass black men talking about, oh man, like the Dolphins or whatever, man, you Steelers fan, like Packers, all this. I'm just thinking like, yo, imagine if black men got this upset over things actually happen in our community, like us being organ trafficked, like you know, we already get upset over police brutality and things like that, but that's really what we think racism is, sister. Racism to black people is a white person calling us the N-word and police brutality. We don't think about soul racism or systematic white supremacy and things like that. So when it comes to, and I haven't seen the Netflix special by Kaepernick. I haven't seen it, but I did see, a couple little clips or whatever. But I definitely could see the comparison, because that's how I've seen sports, especially like football, since I was a kid. So
Mm.
Thank you for that,
Respect.
brother. Respect. I appreciate you coming on. And let me type my email in the chat. He said that one was incorrect, but it's dr.maat.msu@gmail.com. But thank you so much. I appreciate you, brother Ryan, for coming on and sharing your thoughts with us.
I say.
yeah, love you, sister, and
Hey,
and,
love you
and
too.
salute to
Love
you
you
too,
too.
Baba.
Oh, peace, brother. You wise beyond your years, man.
Yes, he's
Keep
further
teaching
along than
us.
I. Yes, he
Keep
was further
teaching
Yeah,
us.
along where I was at early 20s.
yeah,
Right.
yes,
Further along.
sister. Like, I've spoken to a lot of young black kids, like, and a lot of people don't know who you are, and it's pretty sad that we know all these clowns out here, like, representing black men and women who's throwing money everywhere and over
Right.
sexualizing themselves and promoting killing each other. And unfortunately, positive black women like you and positive black men like you, Baba, that's not the representation of the black man and woman in America. It's either, here's what they have for a black man: you a Democrat that goes to work and lives your life, or you're a homosexual, or you're a black dude in the street selling drugs. And for the women, unfortunately, sister, we already know it's just a woman shaking her thing everywhere,
Yeah,
like,
it's
and
it's the it's the
sexualizing her.
it's we call it Mama Ya Barudi and I call it whore culture.
Right,
The
Mm.
glamorization of whore culture. That's
Right.
that's what we
Right.
call it.
right. And
Mhm.
I think you and the few sisters. Well, there's probably a lot
Oh,
more
yeah, there
that I
is.
don't know about you. I don't know about. But I thank women like you for really keeping the image of true black women alive. You know what I'm saying? And we really need to make it more popular that the true black woman should be someone who embodies, what a lot of people would call a goddess, or a true woman, instead of someone who's like you said, the horrification and all that, like being the representation for sisters.
Absolutely. And speaking of a queen, a warrior who's been out for 30, 35 years, shout out to Sister Shahrazad Ali.
I
That
say.
sister,
Yes,
that sister's going to be on the platform this Saturday at 8 p.m. Baba, I'm telling you, when I got off the telephone with her last night,
What?
I was look, Baba, I was like this. Look, Baba, I was calm when I was talking to her. Yeah, sister.
Yeah.
And then she said, yeah, she said, yeah, I've heard of you. I'm familiar with your work, and I've seen. And when she said I'm familiar with your work, my jaw dropped. And she
Yeah.
said, yeah. So basically, this is the elders saying, I see you.
Right.
I see you. So I
Right.
said, well, when can you come on? She said, well, what time is your show? I said, well, it's usually on Saturdays at 8 p.m. She said, I'll be there on this Saturday at 8 p.m. I said, okay. So a flyer is going to drop tomorrow announcing that Sister Shirazad Ali is going to be gracing the platform, Bob. I mean, this Saturday at
Oh, I'm
8
not missing
p.m.
that.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So family be in the building because we talking about feminism. We'll be talking about feminism. We'll be talking about the destruction of the black family. We'll be talking about these sisters who are on the
Mm.
internet who are promoting this
Mm.
foolery of divesting in black men. We call them the divestors. So we're
Yeah.
going to address the divestors. We're going to address the swirlers. We're going to address,
Oh,
they
it's
have a
going
movement.
down.
They have a movement called hashtag abort black boys on social
mm,
media now, Baba. Did you know that?
No.
And it's people, I don't even want to call them sisters, but it is people who look like you and I who are pushing a movement called hashtag abort black boys. So it needs to be addressed. That needs to be addressed, Baba. And so,
Wow.
yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm super
absolutely.
excited. I'm super excited about having that warrior queen on the panel. Family, I
That's
dropped the
right.
link in the chat. Come on in, Baba. Hey, and I, I'm telling you, if we don't get any more callers, we're going to shake out of here. All right. I was just going to open it up for about 20 minutes. So we have about 10 minutes left. So the StreamYard link is in the chat. Okay,
Yeah,
the
you
StreamYard
you,
link is in the chat.
Mhm.
you already know, sister. I'm gonna be tapped into there. I can't wait to see that because I've been arguing. Well, yeah, I've been arguing with black women like just what you described since 2015. And it's not like these were grown women. Some of them were as young as 15 years old. I would hop on the Instagram lives or whatever and just be like, why are you so mad? And he's just like, black man ain't shit. Black man ain't shit. So I'm like, all right, so who are you gonna date then? Who you gonna
Yeah.
procreate with? Because with women who say that, it's either two things: you're gonna be a homosexual, or you're gonna go to the white man, which
Well,
doesn't
that's
make
what,
any sense.
but that's what they're promoting. They're
Right.
promoting
Yeah.
swirling now, and they're promoting divesting. So they're promoting divesting. They're promoting swirling, and they're
Mhm.
hashtag abort black boys. And so Baba Sakim Ra, he said, I heard of that from brother Omowale Africa. And brother Comrade, he's like, WTF, like
Right.
what's going on, you
Right.
know. And so that's why I felt compelled to call, I had to bring out the warrior queen on him.
I
I said, I
say
can't, I
that's
can't, I
gonna be
can't,
live.
Bob, I can't do this by myself.
Right.
I can't do this one
Right.
by myself. So I brought out the
Cool.
OG.
Right.
That's my OG, to
And young
address this.
warrior, just you keep doing your thing, and remember that a lot of times, especially with young sisters, when they say things like that, so a lot of it's coming from miseducation. A lot of it's coming from a
Right.
real place of pain, though, like a place of real
Hmm.
pain, a place
Hmm.
of real harm. You know what I'm saying? And we have to be careful, because sometimes people are speaking based on experience. Maybe black men in their lives have hurt them, and
Right.
how to process that pain, and so we try to respect that. I remember Kwame Ture once said that you don't make anybody conscious. You just pull the African that's already inside of someone. You know what I'm saying? Out. And so I pray that as you continue to interact with sisters your age and sisters out there, period, that you first see the divinity inside of them first and learn how to point that out and focus on tapping into that. And a lot of times, if you can tap into that, they'll see the other BS for what it is
Hmm.
and make that move on their own.
Yeah, I'm here's the thing too, Bob. I'm actually related to Kwame Ture through my father. Like my
I
father.
say,
Yeah, my
Mm.
father's Trinidadian. I don't know if he's like an uncle or cousin, but
right,
I am related to that brother, and I'm honored to be related to that man. I really
come on,
am.
Look, and the apple didn't fall far from the tree, did it,
come
Baba?
on now, he
Come,
ready.
yeah, he ready. He ready. He ready. The younger Safo. Well, thank you
Keep
so much,
pushing,
brother.
brother.
Yeah, keep
Keep
pushing.
pushing.
Keep pushing, young warrior, and I'll see you on Saturday.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
All right.
All right, so we have one more caller. The American Dream. Peace to you, American Dream. You have the floor. Go ahead and unmute your mic. American Dream, you have the floor. Go ahead and unmute your mic, fam.
Sorry about that. Peace to you, Dr. Maat. And
Peace, peace and love.
yes, ma'am. What's happening, Baba?
I'm
Um,
good. Peace to you.
yes, sir. I guess I was I was wondering if it's some because my estimation of the NFL, and the draft for the NFL has been that, the NFL has provided these young kids with an avenue to become millionaires. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? And that's always been my impression of it. And in a way, I'm kind of, wondering if it's disrespectful to the legacy of slavery to compare, what slaves went through to what football players experience. I don't know. A part of me just is having a hard time wrapping my head around that. Because like I said, this kind of sets these young black men up for life, most times,
Mhm.
in terms of
Most
just
definitely.
being financially well off. And I guess I'm also wondering if Kaepernick would say the same thing about the National Hockey League and their draft, whether or not that it can be seen as some form of slavery. And I guess I was just hoping you could respond to that.
Well, the first thing I want to say is American Dream is I share your same sentiments. When I call Baba, he'll tell you I was torn. I was up. I was like, wait a minute, Bob. I'm going off on the cell phone. Baba, Baba,
Yeah.
he's comparing it to slavery. And that's not, look what our ancestors went through. And and then so Baba said, look. He's talking about certain aspects of it and showing the parallels. But he said for it to be a comparison, right? It's sort of a stretch in a sense because it's not, encapsulating the full experience, the full extent of what our
Mhm.
ancestors experienced. So
Right.
American Dream, I share your same sentiments. I was appalled. I was offended. And I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the discussion, but I expressed that when I initially read the article that my aunt sent me, I was upset. And then I immediately called Baba. I mean, like, did you hear this, Baba? Did you hear this? Because
Right.
for those of us, like you said, American Dream, for those of us who study history, it was like a smack in the face for me. But then when I spoke to Baba about it, he said, hey, certain aspects, some similarities, don't take it to heart, basically.
Right.
And then so Baba, what is your response to it?
I would say that when we look at it and we respond, part of us, we're responding based on what we think, based on what the marketing machine says that the NFL is doing for black players. There's 53 players on an NFL team. You know, most won't have a career more than 3 years. That's
Mm,
most. That's what the numbers say,
mm,
right? So most will not be set for life when they leave the league. What's not happening parallel to them getting set up for life is being prepared to be set up for life. That part of it's not happening. You do have some players who come back and say, "Hey, man, don't do what I did, don't do what I did." But there's been so much miseducation up to that point, and this is coming to me from NFL players that you're not prepared. Uh, um, so now, is that slavery? Not in that traditional sense. You know what I'm saying? Not they're not forced. They're socialized and they're definitely groomed,
right.
but they're not forced into that life. But they are socialized and groomed. We got pep rallies for the football team. Ain't no pep rallies for the engineering squad, right? Right. So in that sense, the lack of preparation, which we all have to own that, I think we got to take some of that out of white people's lap and bring because we have the power to prepare our black athletes to be more of an asset to themselves, more of an asset to their families, and more of an asset to their communities when they get in that position. That begins when they're young, and we need to take responsibility for that. He made an analogy. Would he say that about the hockey team? Well, I think what we have to do is make sure that we don't just think of slavery in terms of black and white. Europeans enslave Europeans and exploit Europeans every day.
Mm,
They were exploiting each other before they came into Africa and began exploiting us, and were enslaving Europeans alongside Africans right here in America. So the answer would be, if he's wise, yes. That because what he's talking about are power dynamics, class dynamics, and power dynamics that exist in professional sports. You know what I'm saying? That one could compare to not just chattel slavery, but the gladiator games in ancient Rome and other traditional European sports institutions where the working class are the gladiators and the rich class are the owners of the gladiators. And so that's how I would respond to that. But yeah, these young black men are they're not getting, these black men are earning, like with their blood, literally.
mm, mm,
They're earning
mm,
opportunities to make millions of dollars. They are earning that, but they are also navigating a hostile environment full of people that only want to see them prosper while they're useful to them.
mm. American Dream, what are your thoughts?
Sure. I guess I hear that point. But I think that pretty much that's how companies run. Companies hire people for
I
them
say,
to, benefit that company. So
mhm,
I think that that's just an aspect of just how all companies
mhm.
function.
And
Yeah,
Baba, I said that. Remember?
um,
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean.
and this is no, no. Absolutely
Because y'all, slavery
not.
wasn't about race.
I
Slavery is about
appreciate your
capitalism.
input. So go ahead.
Yeah,
Oh
I
no.
was just saying we got to remember that slavery is about capitalism. You're like slavery wasn't about racism. It wasn't they're black, let's make them slaves. No, it was there's a group of people that technologically we feel like we could conquer, kidnap, and force to work for us for free. That just happened to be African or have black skin. But it was about capitalism. It was about maximum profit with minimum investment. And it's
Mm.
still about that today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just wanted to say, Baba, for American Dream, I raised the same point to Baba when we talked. I said, Baba, isn't that what businesses do? Don't you
Mhm.
inspect the people who work for you? Remember, Baba, when we were on the phone,
Yeah.
I said,
I mean,
don't
look
you
at
inspect
Walmart.
the people? Yeah, I
Look,
said, don't you
yeah.
inspect the people that you
Hey,
work? Don't you vet and examine your future employees? So I said the same thing. I'm telling you, American Dream. I feel like you were
right.
eavesdropping on
No,
our
and I respect your
conversation.
point. That's the foundation of capitalism. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely feel that, but I can also understand the parallels or the hoops that we go through in order to enter some of these institutions, and the NFL just being one of them. There are levels of vetting there, or there wouldn't be black people in corporate America still crying racism inside of corporate America.
Facts.
I'm sure. I
I
want
mean,
to apologize because I'm having a bad connection, so I want to apologize. I didn't hear a lot of what was said. The
Yeah.
last thing I want to say is, even today, even given everything that we know about the NFL and the injuries that these players sustain, and the fact that if you're right, where most of them actually lose their wealth after a very short period of time. And I don't know if that's a knock on the NFL or if that's just kind of
No,
where, these young men may not have invested their money wisely.
no, yeah.
And that would be, and I think, they were given an opportunity to go to college and have a college degree as well. So I think that
Yeah, that's what
at
I'm
some
saying. That's
point,
what I'm saying. That's the propaganda, right?
yeah,
Like when
but
you
I'm
talk
saying
to these, yeah.
at some point, they have to take responsibility for whether or
Mm,
not they keep that wealth.
mm.
You know what I'm saying? And
Well,
just the only point I would want to say is,
mm,
even given all of that we know about what's happening with the NFL, the injuries that they sustain, the fact that they lose their wealth after a certain amount of time, it's still true that parents of these young men would do anything to get their boys into the NFL, and they groom their kids for it, especially I think that as certainly as there are some military families, we also have football families where they actually groom these kids and prepare them from really young to go into the NFL. And so, but so still to compare it to slavery, I think on so many levels is just really a huge stretch. And like I said,
same
I
thing.
think it's I
yeah, I
think
mean,
it's,
any direct comparison is definitely, I
A
don't even think it's
stretch.
a stretch. Any direct comparison is false. But if you're talking about attitudes, if you're talking about power dynamics, if you're talking about that, if you're talking about structure, then yeah, there are going to be similarities. This country was built on that structure. This company was built on a structure of extreme rich and extreme poor. You know what I'm saying? And yes, they are getting an opportunity on the surface, right? But if I come to you and I offer you an opportunity that you're not prepared for and nothing in your institutional experience, like I've known professional athletes who've had professional parents in the home, they have entrepreneurs in the home that groom them growing up, they're preparing them for money, and they do very well. But we got to understand that a lot of these young people that are going into the league, they're coming from poverty, extreme poverty, systemic generational poverty, and nothing in their education prepares them for wealth. When they get into college, especially in your big schools, the Alabamas and all that, you don't go to class. Let them coaches catch you trying to get a real education and you a star player. That's not
sure.
everywhere,
And
but that's in a lot of places. A lot. I've had young men that come to me broken from the NCAA, because because the majority don't make it through, right? The majority do not make it through. We got to understand that. The majority do not make it through. And then that lack of preparation shows. It's exposed at that time. And there are people who've been fighting to improve the quality of education that athletes have access to inside the college system. A lot of documentaries about it as well. But on the surface, it looks like it's the American dream. But when you get into the layers, you start seeing it. And then we have to listen to those who experience it that say, nah, that's not what it is. This is what's going on. And I wasn't prepared to navigate that. And then we have to go back and start doing a better job of preparing them to navigate it. So I
agree. And even if
but I believe that what we have to do, like I said earlier, is take responsibility, greater responsibility as a community for that preparation.
Sure, and I would absolutely agree that, you know, the lack of that lack of preparation is a major part of what the problem is. However, I don't see how, you know, that lack of preparation now becomes where the NFL draft becomes slavery. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see where it is. It the lack of preparation, or is it slavery?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
And he was comparing the combine to the auction block, and he was comparing
the combine.
The combine, the NFL combine. That's not the draft.
I'm sorry. I guess I'm confused. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, he was going off of the title. I had wrote that in the title, Baba. I mean, right. Like, he compares the NFL, and remember at the beginning, you was like, no, it's not the NFL draft. It's the NFL combine. But American Dream, we have to move on to the next caller.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for coming on, man. We appreciate your input. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, respect.
Give thanks.
Sababio, the wise man. You have the floor.
The wise man.
Sabio, the wise man.
Sabio. My bad, Sabio.
Peace and power.
Yeah. Peace. Beautiful show. I just wanted to say something because about what he was just speaking on, Baba. I mean, was just speaking on about how a lot of the young men going into the NFL are coming from extreme poverty. You know, we just had a perfect example of that. And I don't know if y'all mentioned it, but Henry Ruggs Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all hear about the incident with him and his Corvette?
With the car accident, yes.
Yes, he had a car accident driving 156 miles per hour, and he killed a woman and her dog.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect example of a young man not being able to handle the responsibility and the pressure and things that's placed on him, because he was a young NFL superstar with great speed, great hands, and he was turning the Las Vegas Raiders around. And now look at his career. Because he decided to go out and have one moment of fun, and his career is gone now.
Yeah.
And it's because he didn't have the type of people around him to say, you don't need to be drinking, you don't need to be getting in the car driving and things like that. And it comes from a collective lack of really having the right type of people around them. You know, he like Bob I mean said, he had those people who was always going to tell him, this is your tool right here. Football is your tool. Don't worry about education. We're going to help you get through college. And I know people, because I actually did play college football for Citrus Community College for half of a semester before I broke my ankle. And they did have those type of people on the football team where they didn't have to go to class or anything. They were going to get through because they were so talented at football that they was going to make sure their grades were on par, up to par. And it was just... It's just insane how we don't really understand how, and the combine is actually like, and I heard a lot of people say that also about the about the NBA combine. It's a lot like slavery, because you're working, you're getting up all these early hours, and you're doing it consistently for weeks at a time, and you don't get paid for it. So, I mean, what Colin Kaepernick is saying, it isn't a stretch if you really look at the institution and how it's run and how things actually runs inside those institutions and things like that. And we just have to realize that when we use the word slavery, we have to use it correctly, and we have to know exactly what type of slavery we're talking about, because I
Yeah.
think they're
So you're not
talking
in the
more like
NFL when you at the
slavery.
combine.
I think they're more talking more like debt slavery, though.
Yeah. Mm, there you go. I like that. Debt slavery, not necessarily chattel slavery, but debt slavery.
Right.
Now we see on the surface again, we see the contract. Oh, we got a $50 million signing bonus, but we don't see everything that come with that. We don't see
Exactly.
what's being paid for behind the scenes. We don't see who they owe, what they owe. We don't see, the system that's set up to crush your wealth if you
Right.
cross us the wrong kind of way. There's a reason why a lot of players back off of being bold in their stance or bold in their political stance. There's still players other than Kaepernick that are still getting punished for kneeling.
Right. And if you notice, Kaepernick hasn't gotten a job.
Well, no, he didn't. And again, that goes to a whole nother subplot in the power dynamics in the NFL, because black quarterbacks don't get to be backups for long. That's not a
And especially if you speak up. A black quarterback is supposed to stay in your place. You're the leader of the team. You're not supposed to speak up.
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so again, I think we just got to continue to look below the surface, because is it chattel slavery? No, but
not at all.
Power dynamics still there? Yes. Is there a master slave power dynamic away from the contract? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. When you go to your job, you don't refer to your boss as your owner. You don't say that's Mr. John, our owner. That's Miss Sims, she's our owner. Even if they own the business, you don't say they own you. Like if I worked at Walmart and one of the Waltons came in, I'm not gonna say that's my owner right there. But the power dynamics in professional sports, that's what you say. That's my owner.
That's the team owner.
That's my owner, right? And
Jerry Jones is recognized as the owner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys. But the individual players will say
Robert Kraft is the owner of the New England Patriots.
Yeah, tell us about your owner. So those undertones are there, the power dynamics are there, right? And yes, they getting $1 million, but they getting $1 million to be quiet. They're getting $1 million to run and jump, right? And they're being filtered through a system that makes sure that they're not going to be empowered, especially collectively, by that $1 million. Because as soon as black people start saying stuff like, wait a minute, University of Alabama, you're not going to get our running back unless the University of Alabama is going to put community centers inside our neighborhood. Hold up, University of Tennessee, you done graduated so many racists and people that done lynch black people. You don't deserve a 5-star black recruit. What are you doing for the black community? Them hard questions right there. Those are hard questions right there. It changes the money dynamic. And yes, the NCAA and the NFL are bedfellows. It's the good old boy system.
Yeah, it's a good old boys network.
Yeah.
It's a good old boys network.
It's a good old boy network. All these millions being filtered into black hands, that's only safe if you can control the thinking of the black hands that you're filtering the millions into.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So Sabio, the wise man, thank you so much for coming on, brother. We appreciate your input.
Peace, Dr. Maat. Beautiful show. I'll talk to you later, sis. Have a beautiful evening.
Hey, thank you. Have a black-tastic day. Peace and love. All right. So, Baba, do you have any closing words for the listening audience, or do you think that we nailed it?
I think we nailed it. I think it's good. I think that it's a topic that there's no definitive answer to. I want to encourage people to continue to pay attention, to continue to think critically, to even question yourself, question what you see, and study, but try to turn your perspective in a direction that benefits you, benefits your family, benefits us as a collective, us as a community. And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Absolutely. 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 Thank you so much, Baba.
Thanks for
Shout out
having
to
me.
brother
I love it,
Sean.
man.
He said it was a great discussion.
Sean Gale's in the house.
Yeah, he's in the house. He put up a
Yeah,
he commented a whole lot during the
yeah.
stream. So we
And
appreciate you,
congratulations
brother.
to that brother. He is taking an African Center worldview into the public school system, and he just
Woo!
set up an independent Black history class in his community. You know what I'm saying? And it's packed, and the place is packed. Our people
Beautiful.
want it, y'all. We just got to give it to them.
Yes, sir. Peace to my family. My family's in the building. This is my cousin right here. He said, wonderful session, Dr.
I
Maat
say,
and Baba. Peace to you,
give
cousin.
thanks.
Yeah, give thanks. All right, family. Join me back here on Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have a giant in our community coming through, Sister Sharaza Ali. We are going in on feminism, this whole hashtag that's going around on the internet, black boys. The sisters are talking about divesting and swirling and getting a white zaddy. And I mean, these sisters that are talking this stuff, Baba, they have like hundreds of thousands of followers. It's not like these are sisters that have, 2,000. No. These are sisters that when you go to their page, they have anywhere from 80,000 to about 300,000 followers. And a
Wow.
lot of their followers are young Black women. And so it's imperative that people like myself pump out, Black women pump out content that will I don't want to say counteract, but I guess
We
counteract.
got to bring that balance,
Yeah,
though.
actually
Got to
got to
bring
be
that
balanced.
balance.
Got to
Come
bring
on.
that balance. Got to bring that balance. All right, family. Peace and love.